Offerings to Eshu. Hey guys, Joseph Abaifa here once again coming at you from Botanica Candles and More. If this is your first time watching our channel, welcome. And if it's a return visit, please be sure to put on that subscription button as well as those notifications so you're not missing any videos, right? Let's get right into it. Offerings to Eshu. Eshu is an interesting deity because he eats everything. By nature, when all of the Orishas came down, they had to offer what they were able to provide. So Oshun gave honey, Shango gave, red palm oil or bananas. Obadala gave, ori or shea butter or efun, which is like kakaria or a type of rock that's seen in Nigeria. So Eshu eats everything by nature because each Eshu was associated with a different energy, and because of it, it had to survive based on what they could eat, right? And I mean literally any and everything. I've seen papers where it says Eshu doesn't eat certain things. I really don't agree with that because, like I said, we have to provide Eshu what we're able to because he literally sustains himself off of what we can provide, and he accepts it because he knows we can only provide what we have, right? But commonplace-wise, there are some pretty generic things that you can offer to Eshu. And sometimes I get asked to do a video on how to take care of Eshu specifically, like the motions that go into it, and Orumila as well. I don't provide this in a video because, these are things I usually reserve for my godchildren. For those who are already initiated somewhere else, that's perfectly fine, and you want to get possibly affiliated with our house due to the fact that you may be doing some spiritual independence and searching and whatnot, Not everyone that we start off with, we necessarily continue with, right? So if you're interested in finding a religious house after having possibly being distanced from your previous one for whatever reason, these are things we could take into consideration to be able to show you how to take care of Eshu, right? Or even if you are an affiliation and you need some assistance, possibly there's a language barrier, we're always here to help. But as far as a video to be able to come out with that and provide that, we're going to avoid it simply to, maintain religious prestige and not, delve too much in. We try to provide as much information as we can, but things such as this, we like to keep it on a personal level because it is such an intimate process, right? With you and the Orishas and interacting with them, these are things that have to be personal and private, right? Based on what our ancestors prescribe. So what can we offer to Eshu on a generic basis or on a routine basis? The first thing you're going to see is red palm oil, or epo as it's known. And the reason is because Eshu is somewhat of a glutton, right? He can eat a rooster a day if you let him. But we have lives. We really don't want to kill a rooster a day or sacrifice it once a day. It's a bit excessive. So red palm oil became a wonderful substitute because it has a real big resemblance towards blood. So we offer it to Eshu to keep him calm, right? Because in the Odu of Oyekun Fun or Oyekun Bedura was where Eshu would suffer transformations, right? When he didn't have blood or a sacrifice, he would kind of start losing it. So what they did is they offered red palm oil to Eshu so he could relax. And that's why it's something that we do on a pretty regular basis to keep him calm, right? In the meantime, while we can't offer him a rooster sacrifice, which is ideally done, either that or a goat or whatever you're able to offer to Eshu on an annual basis, right? But in the meantime, we put the red palm oil, and that keeps him pretty cool. So red palm oil, first and foremost. Like I said, Eshu can eat anything, whether it be ori, efun, anything. Another big thing you're going to see, and we're going to go over first the things that aren't animal-based, right? So fruits are big as well. And the guayaba, or the guava, is very associated with Eshu, right? Either one of the pink flesh or the white flesh. Usually, very commonplace, you'll see 3 of these in front of Eshu, and he loves this stuff. He can't get enough of it. So that's a really great fruit offering amongst other fruits that you can provide to him as well. Another thing that you can provide as well, besides the red palm oil and the fruit, is the famous hutia, pecaumao, and maitotao, or the smoked rat or nutria, the smoked fish, and the toasted corn. These are symbols of prosperity. Eshu is a huge fan of the hutia, or the rat, and we'll get into a quick understanding of that once we get into the animal offerings, as well as the fish as well. These are prosperity symbols and fertility symbols and money symbols as well, because these are the 2 animals that have procreated the most on earth, right? In the Odu Iworimeji, it was identified that the rat would be the animal that would procreate the most on earth and the fish in water. So we offer these to Eshu because he's a big fan of the way they taste, but apart from that, what they represent: prosperity, fertility, growth, infinity, which is kind of Eshu's thing. It's his concept. He's the and one. He is the extra. He is the representation of infinity in the expanse of the cosmos. So that's where that comes from. The toasted corn, prosperity symbol, no question about it. Prosperity offering, and he loves the taste of it as well. But once again, the corn has many children. If we look at a corn or a maso of corn or a stalk of corn, there's many seeds or many kernels there. So Eshu, once again, representing his infinity, while at the same time enjoying the food that we're giving to him. Popcorn as well. Eshu loves corn in all of its forms, whether it be eko, whether it be amala. He loves all that stuff. Fruits. The main offerings of this is also known as ekueja wado or abado, which is the hutia and the fish and the corn, the red palm oil, honey as well. There's very few things that he really doesn't enjoy, and what I usually tell my god kids is I usually give them a preliminary list of things, like these basic things that I'm giving you guys, and then when they run out, I tell them you got to start getting creative, and if you ever have any doubts, just ask me and I'll give you the green light. Like I remember one time I had a dream that I offered Coca-Cola and pizza to Eshu, and I remember I spoke to my godfather and I said, hey, how do you feel about this? He's like, give it a try. It's not taboo. And I'll be honest with you, things went wonderfully afterwards. So you got to get creative. Certain things I would not provide to Eshu would be something known as adi, right? Which is black palm kernel oil. And in the Odu of Ogunnatetura, it was identified that when Eshu, specifically Eshu Alanki, would come in contact with this, it would infuriate him. So there's only very, very few specific paths of Eshu that take this as an offering. If you have not been identified as one, I would avoid it. Some people say that this could be even related to molasses or melau. I really haven't come up with a firm decision on that yet, because at the end of the day, when we have both ingredients, they can't symbolize the same thing. So, to tell a child of Yemaya that they can't put, molasses on their Eshu, I don't know how that's possible, because it's definitely something that she prefers, right? So really refer back to your elders and see what they say about it. But definitely Adi, or black palm kernel oil, you want to be very selective on how you provide this to Eshu. It's not that he doesn't accept it, it's the response that he gives to it afterwards, right? Because he freaks out and he gets very perturbed afterwards, and we don't want that. So it speaks of that. But popcorn, fruit, red palm oil, the basic offerings, the basic ingredients. He loves gin, he loves rum. Any type of alcohol can be offered, even Hennessy, right? Anything that, you can imagine in that regard. Really with Eshu, it really is where whatever you can come up with. Now, as far as food offerings, right? He's very partial to the goat. Big fan of the goat. And one of the Odus that actually speaks about this is Obeate or Obeirete. When Eshu, one of the Odus where Eshu first consumed goat, because it's also in Irete Meji, it's also in Odi Ogunda. There's a couple different Odus where he consumed this. But obviously, you want to coordinate with your godfather or your religious elder to provide this sacrifice. But it's one of his preferred things, and there's different cases as to why you offer them in different sizes and things like that, and your religious elders can direct you on that. But goats, definitely. The rooster. Some people say this was the first animal offering that Eshu received when Orumila arrived on earth from heaven in the Odu of Eyobe, right? Orumila came down with a rooster where he was directed through divination in heaven to provide it to the first person he saw. He found Eshu at the crossroads. He gave him the rooster before even saying hi, and Eshu said, "You're my friend because you fed me." So he's very partial to roosters, and once again, multiple Odus where he consumed this. I'll go as far to say he probably consumed one in every Odu of Ifa. Someone asked in the comments earlier, what is Eshu's preference, or where does Eshu's preference of the rat come from? And we actually mentioned an Odu that was mentioned earlier in the video is Oyekumbe Dura. And in Oyekumbe Dura, it speaks of Eshu Larufa, right? Which is a very specific path of Eshu. And Eshu Larufa was the guy who would kind of be causing issues, right? Because he didn't have red palm oil or the blood on him. And that sign, they would clean Eshu completely of the blood, and it would cause him to kind of start spazzing out. So they decided to leave some blood always on Eshu, where you never should completely clean all the blood off of your Eshu, and then always leave some palm oil as well, so he would be satisfied. But what happened in Oyecumbe Dura was, there was a gentleman, presumably Oyecumbe Dura, who was going through some very difficult situations. And he was missing some things in life that were making him fulfilled, or were going to make him fulfilled. And when he went for divination, Ifa said that he needed to provide the offering of a rat to Eshu, right? So he did this. And Eshu said, based on you giving me this, I'm going to give you three things. I'm going to give you money, I'm going to give you health, and I'm going to give you a life partner, right? So Eshu's partiality towards the rat comes from this. It's really the basic offering that provides us with these three things, whether it be live or whether it be in the dried form like you see in Nigeria now. Another Odu that speaks of the rodents and things like that being offered to Eshu, one of them is Oshetura, where it speaks of the Hutia, right? Or it's also known as Awasa in Lukumi. And Iworiwosaso, or Iworiwosa, also speaks of the rats and the offerings to Eshu, and there's more, obviously. But that's where Eshu's preference of it comes from, right? And he loves the way it tastes. There's actually, I remember I was speaking to one of my Yoruba teachers, and she was explaining to me that in Nigeria, I can't recall the name right now, there's a rat that smells very bad. And actually, it's the one that tastes the best, and it's actually an offering given to the kings when they first eat, or when someone comes into the house and they're of great prestige and they're greatly recognized in the community. This is like the delicacy that's given to important people that visit to the house. And it's ironic because from what I understand, it smells horrible. But you know, when it comes to culture, there are no rules. There's only what is. So it's an honor to be able to consume this, and it's ironic because we offer this same food item to Eshu, and it's kind of a reminder of it's an honor to have him in the home or nearby, to constantly have him happy and stable and satisfied, right? So animal offerings, Eshu eats everything, just like he eats everything, even from a non-animal standpoint. So as long as we avoid Adi and we know exactly how we're using it, always refer back to your elders. And these are some of the offerings that you can provide to your personal Eshus. And each Eshu eats everything to a certain degree, but they are partial to more things. That's why it's so important, and that's why we're coming out with videos on each of the Eshu paths, so that we know what their particularities are and what we should be offering to them and what's commonplace. There's no rule book, there's just guidelines and knowing what is a possibility and what we should avoid, right? Like the things I've mentioned up until this point. So guys, here's a video on offerings to Eshu. Of course, in the comments, if you have any questions, I'm here for you. We're here to respond. Joseph Baba Ifa YouTube channel appreciates you. Botanica Candles and More appreciates you. If this is the first time you're seeing us, make sure you tap on that subscribe button. Guys, if you haven't had the chance to, please subscribe to the channel. We're growing every day. And whatever questions or concerns you have, the comments are always to you, right? More videos coming on Eshu as far as paths, more in-depth analysis of this deity. And guys, please keep the questions coming, and we're going to keep putting out this material as fast as we can, right? So thank you so much for all your support. And until next time, Joseph Baba Ifa and Botanica Candles and More. Borui Boya. Asheo.